Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
You heard the man. It's the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade on a Thursday, the 13th of February. It's a Valentine's Day Eve show. There's Corey Tackman. I'm CJ Baumgartner. And a little pre-Valentine's Day or a Valentine's Day Eve way to kick in a night in Wadena, maybe going to check out a hockey game. That's what's on the broadcast schedule tonight.
Yeah.
Willmar at Wadena Deer Creek hockey, 6:40 pregame, 7 o'clock puck drop. Jamie Pettit on the call as always. And you can listen on 101.7 FM and AM920 KWAD or online anytime, anywhere, any place at WDenaRadio.com/KWAD. Regular season home finale for the Wadena Deer Creek boys hockey team, looking to end the season in style against Willmar. We got all the action on KWAD. And by the way, you can find the full broadcast schedule online at WDenaRadio.com/KWAD. Should be a good one from the Wadena Ice Arena. And the best part is that they're probably saving a lot of money over the last couple days, keeping that rink cool with how cold it is outside.
I was gonna say, were you going to say by switching their money to Geico? What's Willmar's mascot? The Wildcats?
Well, from what I found when I was making
the Legos, what are they?
It's the Cardinals, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're the Cardinals.
Yep.
They're
but
cool.
Willmar has they have a Northwoods League team. They're the Willmar Stingers. They used to be the Alexandria Beatles.
Yes.
But they moved to Willmar. And in fact had Brooks Lee on their team at one summer. But
oh, no kidding. That's cool.
Yeah, so Willmar, they got the Stingers. You know, if you want to go your Bill Burr, you could go the Stingers.
Their logo on the Minnesota State High School League page is cool. The W like incorporated into the cardinal head.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
It's always nice when schools can kind of incorporate that or at least get a unique logo. Not that like other, you know, like Pequot Lake says the Philadelphia Eagles logo for the Patriots. The Cardinals have the Arizona Cardinals for Staples-Motley. Like all that stuff, those are good. Those work. Those are easy. And as a matter of fact, like you can do a lot of stuff with that. But it's also cool if it's able to work out that way and you're able to incorporate a little extra.
I remember it was a couple of years ago, Sabika, they updated their logo. I had no idea. As a matter of fact, I just thought I'd spent the first 8 years here just missing it in the logo, but they have an S and a T in that Trojan head logo.
Yeah. And the new one they put up. Yeah.
In the new one, I was like, have I been missing this the whole time? And then somebody from Sabika reached out like, no, actually we had just changed it for this school year. So I felt good, but it's cool. It's like, it looks like shading on a helmet. So it just gives it a little definition, but it's an S and a T. And yeah, I'm with you totally. I love when schools do that.
Sabika before had like the old Michigan State Spartan kind of Trojan, like head logo. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the old, or at least the thing that reminds me a lot of it was kind of what Sabika's used to be. And then you found a way to incorporate your own original thing, which is cool. All right. A couple other things that we need to make sure we mention on the sports desk today. We got through a whole ton of milestones yesterday, Corey, and then a few more trickled in throughout our coverage here. So why don't we first talk a little Staples-Motley, Corey? What the heck happened there?
Well, Libby Lorber, girls basketball senior, scored her 1,000th career point the other night. And if you had a chance to see Libby play, first of all, collegiate volleyball player, we announced that a couple weeks ago on the sports desk. So she's just obviously a stellar athlete. It's been a tough season for the Staples-Motley girls basketball team, just as far as wins and losses go. But Liv is she puts in big time work every single night. She is asked to handle the ball a lot. She's asked to make buckets from the outside a lot. She's asked to post up and make buckets underneath. She's asked to guard the other team's post players. She'll come out and she'll guard the other team's ball handlers. She offensive rebounds like an absolute maniac. Like she is everything that she has accomplished, especially this season, has been very earned. And so for her to kind of get the reward, that 1,000 point payoff in her career, she's earned it for sure. So congratulations to Liv on that accomplishment. And then wrestler Colby Tappy has been nominated as a Minnesota Star Tribune, right? Isn't that their official name now?
Yes,
the Minnesota Star Tribune, like prep athlete of the week. The exact title leaves me, but I don't know if you know this about Staples-Motley Wrestling, and if you know this about Colby. He and they are good.
Huge if true.
And so it's nice for him to get recognition that way. And shout out, I got to say this, shout out the Minnesota Star Tribune, because it would often feel like the Star Tribune is not going to leave the boundaries of 694 and 494 and the loop around the metro area very often. But hey, they showed in their rebranding to the Minnesota Star Tribune that they're willing to reach out into greater Minnesota. And it's called Greater Minnesota. Why?
Because it's greater.
Because it is, in fact, greater. So a big accomplishment for Colby to get recognized on a state level that way. He's good. And by the way, we're going to be following some Staples-Motley Wrestling henceforth.
Exactly. By the way, Sarah Polk of Badger Greenbush Middle River Tri-County Wrestling also made it. But otherwise, you have, St. Paul Academy, Hopkins, Richfield, Hill Murray, and then Wayzata. And then Colby Tappy making the list. It's just a little blurb here talking about how he picked up his 200th career victory, how he's a 3-sport athlete, how, of course, Staples-Motley made the Prep Bowl in football. He owns a career record of 200 wins, 21 losses, with 122 of those victories coming by pin, ranked at second in 160 pounds in Class 1A by the guillotine. And then a little sentence or two from activities director Josh Lee on just how great Colby is and the things he does at the school. Go read the article. It's free to read up on the Minnesota Star Tribune. And if you go to the Sports Cow Facebook page, you can find the link there as well. So congratulations to both of them there, getting that accomplishment in the strip. So before we talk about some other things, we have one more local headline to get to. Okay. And that's in Bertha-Hewitt football. We have another signing. So last week we talked about Owen Zegan committing to Mayville State.
Yeah.
And there's another one as Caden Kimber has committed to NDS-CS in Wahpeton, North Dakota State College of Science. And cool. That's a junior college there. So you get to play the JUCO level and get to play a couple of years and, get to live the dream and get to do whatever. Obviously it depends on kind of your, I don't know if he's going for gen eds to go up and play somewhere next year or next time, or if it's, hey, I'm going to go to a tech school. I might as well go here and play some football and do whatever. And cool. Either way, I saw, you always see those coach tweets or like posts on social media, and some of them are a little bit like you kind of roll your eyes at because they're a little like it's so coach speak. You know what I mean? Like, have you seen those come across your timeline at all, Corey?
Oh, I have no idea what you could be talking about.
There was one where it talks about, it says D2 isn't your backup plan, D3 isn't your backup plan, junior college and NIA is your backup plan. Like, they're all great spots to land that you get an opportunity to play at the next level. And I was like, darn it, I agree with that one. Like, that's a whole thing of like, people say, oh, it's just Division 2, it's just Division 3, it's just MIAC, conference, whatever. You get an opportunity to play at the next level, and that's really cool. So as we've talked about with all of these athletes since the sports desk has been a thing, it's just cool to get to see them go play at the next level like that. So congrats to Kimber there, one of the seniors on the Bertha-Hewitt football team this year.
If anybody's saying that about a level of sport, they haven't seen that level of sport.
Exactly.
It's really that simple. I dare you to go watch Bemidji State, Minnesota State Moorhead women's basketball. Just go watch it.
It's good.
You haven't seen basketball like that before. You haven't. You just haven't. They're incredible basketball players.
Uh-huh. My job in college was I would take stats for the basketball team, and I saw one Division II game in basketball prior to my time in college. And I got there and I watched that basketball, men's and women's both played back to back. And watching both of those, you realize that you're like, these guys are all legit basketball players. These guys and girls all were the number one options on their high school team. Like, and they are playing against people who were also number one options on their high school teams. Like, it's a good competitive level of basketball. There are clear differences. I mean, this is any sport too. There are clear differences, obviously, between the Division 1, 2, 3 level, but also like to pretend that playing D3 football is some kind of slight on you is like, you get a chance to play.
You're right. There are differences, but it would be a mistake to think that
bad because you're playing D2 volleyball.
That the best player on every basketball team in Division 2 isn't a Division 1 rotation player.
Right.
They are. And that the best player, the 5 best players in every Division 3 conference isn't a Division 1 basketball player. The difference is that at the Division 1 level, those guys range from pros to Division 1 basketball players.
Mm-hmm.
And at Division 2, they range from Division 1 to Division 3. And at Division 3, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's a little bit of like overlap.
The difference in the best players is pretty slight. The difference in the who's ever at the end of the roster, who's ever at the end of the roster at Concordia is probably not a Division 1 player, but that kid's gonna cook you in an open gym battle.
Right, exactly. You're gonna see that kid go back to his high school and play open gym, and you're gonna go, "Whoa, this guy's."
Oh, I see what's up. Also, every time I hear Caden Kimber's name now, I think of Peaky Blinders, and I think of their accents in that show when he's dealing with Mr. Kimber and that Birmingham accent.
I've never seen a second of Peaky Blinders, but
I've never seen a second of I've never actually seen an episode. I've seen roughly 1.5 million clips online.
I was going to say, like, I've felt like I've seen the show secondhand in a way because so many people are putting out so much media from the show already. Are they getting a movie?
Cillian Murphy just won an award for Oppenheimer, and his best work is in Peaky Blinders.
Pays to have the Nolan name behind you.
It does. But if you thought he was good in that, you should watch Peaky Blinders. He's incredible. He's one of the scariest humans alive.
Mm-hmm. Is trying to think, who's the other guy that's in the show, the other big name?
Tom Hardy.
Yes, Tom Hardy, who is also in a Nolan movie. He was in The Dark Knight Rises. So
that's exactly right. And as far as I know, Tom Hardy, he's not like, it's not a huge role in Peaky Blinders, but it's one of those, like, every time he shows up,
it's important.
It's important, and he is masterful.
Steals the show, as they would say. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to hopping on the bandwagon of the Christopher Nolan Odysseus movie.
Okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
It's I think,
who's in it?
I think Tom Holland's gonna lead, and I think Zendaya's also in it.
Boo, I'm out. I take it all back. They're both great. What could you possibly say about Tom Holland or Zendaya? Literally nothing. Corny.
But they are also going to shoot it actually in Greece, which will be really interesting.
Oh, so Tom Holland and Zendaya have taken the Adam Sandler mission on taking movies now?
Kind of sounds like it, yeah.
Being a vacation spot for 90 days.
At least theirs is a serious drama and not just a movie where they putz around on a beach for 20 minutes and Kevin James gets hit in the crotch or something.
And they all have their place.
Everybody's got their place and whatever makes it work. We should talk a little bit about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, Corey, the good sponsors of this program here.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I think it's worth mentioning again. I think we all know about Ranch Rewards, right? It's the sign up, the rewards that you can earn by using and going to Pizza Ranch, and that's a really, I mean, whatever. That's a big thing. You earn more points. I don't need to explain this process, right? We all know how rewards for companies work. But Pizza Ranch and FunZone and Arcade in Wadena also have a FunZone rewards in the arcade.
Ooh.
Let me grab my piece of paper here because I got to make sure I get the details right.
A FunZone arcade. I mean, Not only do you get rewards on the great pizza, you also get rewards on the great games that you can play in there. So that's FunZone Arcade and Pizza Ranch rewards, both. That's what we call a deal.
You can earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets when you play, buy, and reload 3 times your FunZone card 3 times by April 30th. Some stipulations. Here's what the card looks like. You'll be able to pick it up when you stop into the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, but get rewards on the food you eat and rewards on the games you play with Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
All right, Corey, as we wrap up today's show, just want to make a couple notes. One, the Wolves lost yesterday.
Boo.
Believe Giannis and Dame both didn't play, and you still found a way to lose that one. So good job.
Yeah. Daryl walked in this morning. He goes, Anthony Edwards was 4 of his first 5 and 1 of his last 16.
And that's not to include when Anthony Edwards went like 1 for 16 in the first quarter of a loss to the Cavs earlier this week as well. He's what they call having a bad week. We'll see if that picks up. All-Star break's coming soon. 120
plus points in 3 straight games.
Believe it or not, Ant's a volatile superstar.
But this is the feast or famine thing that we're trying to avoid with him. Like, amazing stuff. Could we just get a consistent 26?
Just please.
There's 2 ways to average 26 points, right? And one of the ways is by scoring 26 points every single game. The other way to do it is by scoring 40 in one game and 13 in the next.
And also, Ant can score maybe 20 a night. But again, how you get to that 20, is it an efficient 20 or is it I shot the ball 50 times to get to 20 points?
I'll even take a less efficient. I mean, if it's 20, I have a problem with it. I'll take a less efficient 26 points from him because he's the best player. And that's like, those guys need to
shoot. You got to let him shoot his way through it a little bit. Yeah.
But for crying out loud, dude, we can't be doing this.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, All-Star break's coming up. They'll figure some things out. Or they won't. I don't know.
They won't.
We've definitely seen both sides of that coin in the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
Okay. Twins, pitchers, and catchers report. Corey, we made it.
Where is it? We believe.
We believe.
But do we?
We have no other choice but to believe.
Let's pull up the carometer right now.
Okay.
Where's your carometer at?
Well, like which way are we going here?
Not caring at all, completely caring at a 90 degree.
Okay.
I'm looking at 45 degree is like it's exciting, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Let me put it to you this way. I think I'm at like a 45 degree of like, if we do this in a vibe check terms, I want to vibe, I want to get excited, but then I also like after 3 days of going, baseball is back. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's spring training. It's the same thing you do with NFL training camp. You're like, oh, they're practicing again. Let's go. There's Justin Jefferson. And you're like, oh, wait, they don't play another game for like 7 weeks. All right. Like, and that's kind of the thing. Like, I'll get more excited as the season goes. But for now, it's just cool to see my favorite baseball team put the hats on and get to go out and do baseball things.
Well, I'll tell you, this is my carometer. My carometer is right about here. I pretty much don't. For all of the reasons you said, there's too much going on. I'm feeling quite apathetic about how last season ended.
Kind of fair.
These are the reasons I do care. Maybe this is a better way to say this. The little bit of caring that I do have. One is I'm excited for you to buy into every piece of propaganda that comes out between today and the start of the season. Like I'm just personally,
I think Ty France is going to win the MVP this year. You can't say otherwise.
If that propaganda comes out, we need to burn that whole franchise to the ground because that's absolutely insane. But so I'm excited. That's just a totally selfish thing. Like I'm looking forward to our conversations of like, well, actually, you're going to say, well, actually, if you look back at 2024 and you obviously
stop looking at the team when the bad things happened, they were good.
So I'm looking forward to those conversations. I think that's fun. Like I always think it's fun to make fun of the White Sox. So I'm like, that's going to be cool this year. They're going to probably be even worse. I think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player of all time. And I think
that team got even better.
if he does something even better this year or even the same again this year, it might cement him. I mean, it's just insane what that guy is.
Right.
Of late, the Anthony Rendon stuff with the Angels has been super funny. So I like some of the trolling business that's happening around baseball right now. That
about trolling, Alex Bregman signed with the Red Sox last night, and Ben Verlander, Justin Verlander's brother, who is big Nepo hire here, was spending the last week just being like, today is the day today is the day, says Ben Verlander, that Alex Bregman signs with the Detroit Tigers. Today's the day. And he was making a real big scene about it yesterday. And he signed with the Boston Red Sox.
Boston. That's a good, good for Boston. They've had a lot of things not go their way, Boston, including owners who don't care at all.
Right. Well,
you imagine being a middling level Twins organization and your owners not caring, but now imagine being Boston, where everybody, including yourself, has this inflated ego about how important they really are.
And they've won 3 World Series in the last 21 years.
But it's those 3 happened nearly 21, 20, and 19 years ago at this point. You know what I mean?
The 2018 one's almost a decade ago now.
Right, exactly. And their owners are a problem. So that would be extra frustrating.
Don't Google the Mookie Betts trade. Just one of the worst trades of all time. Oh, really? Goodness.
Really bad.
The Red Sox got absolutely 0 things of value for the top 5 best player in baseball.
The Bregman thing now is this. This is what saves you to June. As it's just but we got you Bregman.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Mookie Betts, who's the greatest baseball player in the world, but not, he's the second best baseball player in the world and the second best baseball player on his own team.
Mm-hmm. He'd be when Mike Trout goes on the IL, he becomes the best player in the American League if Mookie Betts is still on the Red Sox.
Most people think like Shohei Ohtani, what he's doing is so incredible because he can pitch and hit, and he would be a world-class center fielder. On top of it, right? There's 3 things that Shohei can do. Most people believe that Mookie would be an all-star at 9 positions. Yeah, probably 8. If you want to be pessimistic, 7, because maybe not catch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every infield spot and outfield spot. If Mookie's there, he's Willie Castro on steroids.
Mm-hmm. He's a super utility player that hits like a top 5 player in baseball.
Correct. He's insane.
He's awesome. Bregman basically signed the Correa deal with the Red Sox, which means it's a 3-year deal, no opt-outs, with like a huge sum of money. Basically, Ken Rosenthal went out this morning and said he's got offers from the Blue Jays, from the Tigers, mention another team.
Always the Blue Jays. It's always the Blue Jays and Tigers, isn't it? Always
the bridesmaid.
I'm surprised the Mariners weren't in that too.
Now they don't have any. They're in the same thing. Their ownership's tightening up the pocketbook too, so they're stuck.
Wow.
I'm surprised the Padres weren't in the mix either, but their ownership is also tightening up the screws.
Right.
So, although the Padres did just sign a big starting pitcher yesterday, so I shouldn't say too much. They made a move to get one of the best starting pitchers left on the market. But it's basically a Correa deal where Bregman is going to play in Boston for a year and opt out and hit free agency again and reset.
Do the Padres have the best uniforms in baseball?
They don't have the worst uniform in baseball. I'll put it that way. It's very good. Very good because it stands out. Whereas when they went to the only blue and white for a little bit there, it kind of felt like they were Diet Dodgers, and they kind of needed to rebrand for that alone.
And it's back to their old school colors. Right? It's like Ozzie Smith colors and old school Tony Gwynn colors. And
forgetting the orange entirely.
I just love them.
They're great because they stand out. And yeah, sometimes the brown and gold doesn't always look flattering, but when it hits, it hits.
Like what, CJ?
What?
Poop and pee, of course. They're poop and pee colors.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna, yeah, that's pretty much
amazing. They're really cool uniforms. The only thing I would love to see is every once in a while put the Friar on the hat. Mm-hmm. I feel like I haven't seen a Friar on a hat in a long time.
They have it on the side patch of the jersey, but they're starting to, that's about it.
Yep.
We need the they ever have a nickname besides just the Friars? Like, was there something like they got like the Fighting Friars or something like that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, Yeah, Twins pitchers and catchers report today. Although most of them are already there. It's just the official, like, all right, you have to be here and check in. Believe it or not, most players who are training in like colder climates want to decide, I'm maybe going to head down to Fort Myers a few weeks early and just get comfortable.
Well, and as we're recording this, right, or as we're doing this, I should say, it's 11 o'clock Central Time, which means it's noon East Coast time. So they've reported,
right?
And they're in the midst, I would assume, maybe like right now or within the next hour, they'll be out there doing their first official workouts for the season. So anyway, good luck.
Go Twin. All right, let's wrap things up by playing the nickname game. We did not have a chance to play it yesterday because we had a loaded show. Let's play it a little bit today. I got 3 names of current NBA players.
Yep.
And they're either Wolves players or Wolves adjacent, as in just kind of if there's a storyline connecting them, upcoming opponent or past going opponent or something along those lines, just to kind of help you out to pick things that are top of mind. Okay. So if you go on Basketball Reference, they have the player stats, they have all their vital statistics, and then they also have some nicknames for those players. We are going to take the nicknames because some of them are as basic as you can put, and some of them are, I have no idea who decided that was going to be your nickname in the NBA.
Yeah. The player's never been called by that nickname ever, but it's on the Basketball Reference somehow.
They have not been called that since they made 3 shots in a row at their 7th grade rec league basketball game on a Saturday.
Old triple shot, I see. No one calls him that.
Nobody's ever called you that. Nobody will ever call you that again. It's all right. Here we go. Starting off with our first one here. There's only one. SGA.
Oh, well, they play Oklahoma City tonight. That is, of course, the league's MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes, it is. You are 1 for 1.
SGA, yeah. Don't you think he's the MVP this year? Probably, right?
He'll be the MVP this year. Yeah. Jokic isn't going to get it again because their team is kind of like, they're good, but they're not like dominating the West. I think with the fact that he's the best player on the best team.
Well, do they have the best record? It was Cleveland for a long time.
For sure, the best in the West.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not like but yeah, he was arguably the MVP last year.
All right. Let's switch.
I agree with that argument, but it is arguable.
I don't want to give Shai a ton of credit because I'm just prone now to be annoyed by the Thunder and their fans on social media, and the fact that he's a free throw merchant a little bit, or like he's got one of the friendliest whistles in the NBA, despite the fact that he's never won anything, and then Ant has one of the worst whistles in the NBA, despite the fact that he's actually been to a conference finals. Anyway, that's for another time.
And Ant's team knocked off OKC a couple of years ago. I'm with you. I just happen to I think they play really nice basketball. It's one of those
they're a legit good team.
I'm willing to put aside all the other stuff because I'm like, well, he's awesome, and I like Chet a lot, of course, and they're good, man.
They're good. By the way, speaking of bad trades, Google the Paul George trade to the Clippers. Just abysmal.
Also, don't do that.
Don't do that. It's why in the NBA, going after big names, cough, 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 Phoenix, doesn't always lead to success.
That's why they're the Clippers.
Uh-huh. All right. Here we go. SGA has a family member that plays in the National Basketball Association. And here's his nickname. Popsicle.
He has a relative?
Uh-huh.
Is it Nickeil Alexander Walker? You're related?
They're cousins.
How am I just learning this right now?
Alexander in their names.
Is that common knowledge?
According to Basketball Reference, it is.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
They're cousins. Well, they're both from Canada, so
they're born in Toronto.
Yeah.
I knew he was.
A couple of years ago, not in the Olympics, but when they had the Basketball World Cup, both of them were playing for Canada.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they're cousins.
What are Naw's other nicknames?
Naw.
The popsicle stinks, by the way.
And also Keel.
Huh?
Keel, like Nikhil, but they just dropped the NIC at the beginning.
Oh, I see.
So it's just Keel.
Yeah, no, those nicknames stink.
Yeah. Popsicle. I don't
know the best because he's ice cold from the 3-point line.
It was when I paid American currency to watch their basketball game. Yeah.
I do like when him and Jaden are playing well and they call that non-order. I think that's pretty fun.
That is fun. There's a YouTuber who plays games on he basically his whole bit is he plays games on the Wii and he stinks at him, so he always gets mad. And the whole bit is when he freaks out.
Yeah.
So like there's a point when you do bad in a game and the screen kind of goes, oh, or like, no. And so he just goes, no. And he's like screaming into his microphone because his whole bit is that he rages. And then so every time he makes a 3, I just look at my wife with no context and go, no. And she loses a little bit of respect, I think, for me. But
she's right too. First of all, I do want to point that out. The second thing is I don't watch those guys' videos. I've seen clips of it though. It's pretty funny.
Pretty darn funny. Especially when you look and it's playing Wii basketball or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Now he's playing like 2K or something. He's raging because he lost to the computer on a thing that I beat as a 9-year-old. Yeah. Anyway, last player here on the list. The Michael Jordan of Delaware. The Michael Jordan of Delaware.
I'll be honest with you. You and I probably could have been born in Delaware and have been the Michael Jordan of Delaware until this guy came along. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
There's a storied basketball history in the state of Delaware. I have no idea.
He's from Newark.
So he's not even from Delaware?
Newark, Delaware.
No.
Yes. He went to high school in Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, the Timberwolves, they play Oklahoma City.
Also known as White Chocolate.
Well, that's helpful.
That eliminates some names.
Narrows it down pretty significantly. He's currently playing?
He's a current NBA player, yes.
Let's see, who'd they lose? They just lost to Milwaukee. Who's a white guy for Milwaukee?
Also known as the Big Ragu. I'm guessing like the pasta.
So he's got red hair? He's a big white guy with red hair?
I mean, could be. Maybe just like spaghetti.
He's a white guy with red hair? Is it Grayson Allen? That's the only white guy I can think of. Is it a white guy?
Well, with a name like White Chocolate, yes.
Well, I'm just confirming. You just had to. Is it a Milwaukee guy? Am I right to be thinking of Milwaukee?
He played for He was drafted by Milwaukee, first round pick 2018.
So that doesn't necessarily mean he plays for Milwaukee anymore.
He at one point played for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
I have a couple other nicknames, but they will give it away. So I'll give you one more guess, and then I'll give you one of them.
I need a redheaded white guy. You know,
there's not a ton of them in the league. You'd think that'd be easy, but it's a lot tougher than it sounds.
Yeah, it is. It's annoying. This is annoying. Does he play for OKC now? Is it
he never played for Oklahoma City.
So does he currently play for the Bucks?
No.
Does he currently play for the Wolves?
Potentially.
Do the Wolves have a redheaded white guy? Am I overthinking the redheaded, or am I right on this?
No, you're right, but you're overthinking the big picture.
Who is it? Who's the Joe Ingles? Joe Ingles is Australian, mate.
Yeah.
Who's the redheaded white guy for the Timberwolves?
How about you have the nickname DDV?
Oh, son of a. Yeah, it sure is him, isn't it?
Who is it, Corey?
It sure is. Well, you just said it. It's DDV. It's Dante DiVincenzo. He's from Delaware?
From Delaware, played at Villanova in college.
Was that the other? Does he have other nicknames, or is that it?
Devo, D-I-V, capital D, lowercase I, uppercase V, lowercase O.
You know what I did to myself? I kept thinking it was a big guy.
To be fair, if you think of a redheaded dude, you always think of a big guy, like a redhead dude who played basketball.
Yeah, yep. I was on big fella mode, and I didn't think of guard mode.
You didn't.
Son of a gun. That's an embarrassing miss.
The big Ragu is kind of cool if you think of the fact of how Italian his name is.
Very Italian.
The big Ragu, the Michael Jordan of Delaware, which I can't tell if it's a compliment or if it's a backhanded compliment. I think it's the second one. Yeah, you're the Michael Jordan of Delaware. All three of us. You're better than us.
NBA players from Delaware. Oh, Bones Highland is from Delaware.
How do we forget about Bones?
How do you say? Is it Jalen Duran?
Sure.
Yep. Charlie McKeel, Nate Cloud.
How can we forget about those guys?
No, DDV is the Michael Jordan of Delaware.
He is the Michael Jordan of Delaware. It is a true fact.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Do you know what Bones Highland's first name is?
Like Michael or something like that?
No, Sean.
All
right, anyway.
All right. That'll do it. This is the morning sports desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. We're going to go get some Ragu pasta and some spaghetti, I think. Yes. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.